Hello, hello, hello. It's been a while since I've gone live, so I'm super excited today to begin this month of lives. Every Wednesday at 12 noon, I am going to be popping on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube to really start to talk through um, something that we don't probably talk through a lot. And that really deals with analytics and measurement and really just how important those things are as business owners and to us as business owners. So I am really excited. And this was kind of impromptu. So I am really not sure who's popping in today, but if you join us, feel free to share, name, and comment. I'm not sure if I'll be able to see all of them just because of how StreamYard operates. So I'm excited though to dive in and really just start with an overview of what we're going to talk about in terms of analytics and how you can really use them to drive decision making in your business. So we're going to dive into some of those topics, and then the next week there's going to be even deeper dives into those things. So let us go ahead and get started. I'm actually sharing a presentation today. So let's see here. All right. So I'm going to be able to see this even though I'm just make it the joys of technology. So for a moment here, I am going to, yeah, we're just going to keep it moving. Okay, so when it comes to, let's see, this is why. All right, so sorry. I was trying to figure something out on the back end of StreamYard, and we're just not even going to do it. Let's see here. Okay, yeah. So we're just going to keep going with it. So let's get going using data and web analytics to drive decision making in your business. Okay. So when we're talking about that, let's just define some of these terms. Okay. Because I think that's a really good starting point. And what are we talking about when we're talking web analytics? What is that? And it's really the collection, reporting, and analysis, which is such a key point that's often missed, of the data that is generated basically from users visiting and interacting with your website. Honestly, that's the quick, short, dirty version. So it can be things that determine their user behavior, which can then lead to how you can optimize your website's experience and flow for the user, along that customer journey that we've always heard. And also how you can gain insights into things like your conversions and sales. And that definition comes from HubSpot. So social media analytics is all those data points that come from your social media accounts. So if you're watching today on LinkedIn, there's some insights coming from that. Facebook, YouTube. Obviously, there's also Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter, and some others that are out there. So those are things that are compile or lead to your social media analytics, okay? So just so we're all are on the same page as it relates to terms. But when we're thinking about all of this, for those that have a business that's has an online presence, which typically is most of us nowadays, all of this comes together to be a huge part of what's your digital marketing. Okay. And in that pie of digital marketing, since we're at lunchtime, we're going to start with dessert. You have email marketing, content marketing, website landing page marketing, search engine optimization, ads and paid marketing. So you can run ads on LinkedIn, you can run ads on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Okay, social media marketing. So all of these things come together to really form a cohesive package around your digital marketing efforts, okay? Which ties into your web analytics, your social media analytics. And it serves as those are all, kind of entry points, data points coming in to help you understand what's really taking place behind the scenes, okay? And so if you have email marketing, your email goes out. You might look at what are the click rates, okay? What are your open rates? How many people are opening your email? For example, I worked with a client. Email list was about 24,000 people. And we found that there was a good 8,000 never opened an email. Ever, never, 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 ever. Okay, so we culled the list, to really get rid of those accounts of people who they don't want your email, which always is going to pull down your open rates because you're sending it to people who maybe they no longer have that account, maybe they no longer check that account, whatever the situation may be. So in your email marketing, you may share links with people, in the email. So you want to see are these people clicking on those links? Does it lead to an offer? Does that lead to a sale? What happens in that entire process that takes place? The same with your content, whether that's content for LinkedIn, whether that's content for Facebook. You want to have some sort of understanding of what's taking place with that content. So if you're posting on LinkedIn and you post a blog article and it leads to your website, you want to be able to know how many people are actually coming to your website from that post and then reading that. They're kind of coming off of LinkedIn to go to your site and driving traffic there. Okay, maybe you're spending a lot of time over here with your social media marketing and you are spending that time on Instagram. Yet, when you look at your analytics, Instagram doesn't send traffic to your website. Is that really a place then that you want to spend your time? So that's definitely something to think about. So all of these things come together and really, again, form that digital marketing environment that leads to analytics that help you determine some next steps in your business. All right, so some of those primary data sources when you're pulling in this information, okay, one of the biggest is Google Analytics. And let's be honest, Google is keeping track of a lot of different things. So with Google Analytics that's installed on your website, there's a lot of information that you can gather that will help you as you make decisions in your business. Obviously, a lot of things related to your website traffic. If you post on Facebook, there's Facebook Insights, Instagram Insights, LinkedIn Insights, email newsletter. There's so many different pieces that fall into that puzzle. And so those are things that you want to kind of keep a note of in order to keep track of. All right. And without this information, you pretty much are operating your business with the blindfold on, honestly. I know that sometimes that feels a little harsh and it feels like, seriously, Kiva, how can you say that? I am doing this, or that, or this, whatever in your business. But the reality of the situation is you're making decisions not always based on data or the information that comes with it. And I've already shared this in my podcast and other things. No, the data alone should not drive your decisions. There's definitely some level of intuition. There's definitely some level of historical knowledge that comes into place. However, if you don't have the data, well, what are you basing it on? Okay, so in many cases, business owners, we need to take the blindfold off. Okay, we need to take it off, put on our, big girl, big boy pants, underwear, panties, bloomers, whatever you want to call them, and really start to look at what's taking place under the hood or behind the scenes of our businesses and what is needed in order to make the right decisions based on the information that we have available to us. Okay. So, for example, one thing that I do when I work with clients is we create dashboards. Because as a CEO, you're not going to be the one running behind Google Analytics trying to figure out what's going on and getting a pulse on your business. So with a dashboard, my client is able to go in And this one is on traffic insights for their website. So they can see how many sessions that they've had, how many users have been to their website, page views, what's the bounce rate, what's the average session duration, like how long are people spending on your site? There that's a really important thing to figure out because the longer that they spend there, the more that they're consuming, the more you are moving them along that customer journey. Okay. And where is your traffic coming from? In many cases, obviously, as much as you'd like to eradicate direct none, there are people who will just forever just type in your URL and go straight to your site. You might be one of those people. But there's also Google organic search, Instagram, whether that's from a referral search or maybe use a mail program like ConvertKit, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign. Um, so your email will obviously impact that. There's Instagram. This one was one that I thought was maybe a little telling. So due respect and privacy of my client. So there's obviously other referral sites and email sites, email traffic sources, excuse me, that are bringing people to this particular website. And I think it's important here we know a lot of this because in most cases we are using some level of tracking, but we have some additional sites and dashboards I'm not showing that also reveal through the use of like UTM tracking links of exactly which of our content people are coming to see and how they're getting there. So when we send emails, we use UTM links, okay? And that just adds some additional parameters for us to check and be able to see what are people drawn to. And so you have social networks, okay, so Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and you can see here that there's obviously, different sets of users for these, and these numbers are a little bit different now, just because we've started to implement a lot more UTM tracking. So previously, things like Milkshake or Linktree, when the links weren't updated, they were kind of just general traffic. So a dashboard, though, like this helps give you a good understanding, and you can set the dates, whether it's a month or you want to look at it weekly, as to what is taking place with your website in terms of traffic and where that traffic is coming from. For example, I was joking earlier, like you might spend a lot of time on Instagram, but if this number wasn't 3,829, say this number was 4, and so you're like, I spent all this time on Instagram making all of this content and no one comes to my website. It really does lead you to believe, like, hey, should I spend all of this time on Instagram? In this particular client's case, they spend a lot of time on Instagram because Instagram is a big driver of traffic to their website. So that's just definitely something that they do. So these dashboards, though, can help you see where that traffic is coming from, incoming to your site. All right. Another way to use dashboards is when it comes to like funnels. Okay. So this one is more of a screenshot, and I'm not going to go into some of the details behind this one, but you kind of can look and see. In this particular case, this client was having an event, and there was the sales page for the event. And so we looked at how many people came to the sales page. We then also looked at how many people went from the sales page to the order page in the funnel. Okay, so they landed on 915, landed on the sales page. Okay, out of that 915, 191 of them were like, I'm intrigued. I want to click to the next page, which was the order page. Okay, so you can see there between the sales page, visitors to the sales page, and those visitors that moved on to the order page, there's about a 20.87% conversion rate. Sounds pretty cool, right? I'll let you gauge on that for yourself, but we can talk deeper about that later. But there's definitely based on this kind of number of people who landed at the sales page, you might expect that more would be moved. So there's some things that can tell you in terms of maybe the copy of the sales page, what was on there that was not drawing people to that next step. So then we can see here from the sales page, okay, the people that went from sales page to order page, from those 191 people, we had 10 who were like, I want in on this. I want more of what this is. And so those are the 10 that actually paid. So from there, you can see there was like a conversion rate of 5.76%. But that also means there was like a huge abandoned cart. People got to the order page, but they did not move forward. So when you're looking at these analytics and you're breaking down something that maybe you have an event coming up and you want people to come and join you, and whether it's paid or free, it helps to be able to see how many people are actually coming to your sales page. Because if you only focus on this number, which is how many people purchased or how many people signed up, while that number might feel like, hey, this was pretty good, I did amazing. If you don't know how many people actually came to the page in the first place, you're not even aware of, did I lose people? Where did I lose people? How did I lose people? And I could have had a greater showing for this event if such and such, such and such, and such and such was different. Okay, so it's helpful to have these numbers. And for this particular client, this funnel dashboard that we did showed that like a lot of visitors came from Instagram. But surprisingly, even though Instagram was like the largest sender of traffic to this sales page, we had one purchase from Instagram. One purchase, okay? The email list actually had more buyers that were primed to buy than Instagram. So this information really is helpful just to think through when you're having something that's maybe a funnel, and what happens and how people navigate their way through, and then which sources of traffic really are the ones that not only lead people to your sales page, but lead them from the sales page to the order page to actual money in your pocket in that bottom line that is your business revenue. Okay, so this is another kind of version of a dashboard that I think is helpful for business owners. That allows them to get that information that they may not always be keeping track of. Okay, and that helps with future things that you're going to do where there's another event that you're going to sell tickets to, or you want people to register, that you understand where there might have been leaks in your funnel previously and how to plug those leaks up. Okay, and you'll see up here there was like average time on the page that they spent, and that was the sales page. They spent about 2 minutes and 55 seconds, which in our internet time, that's pretty good that people stayed on the page for about 3 minutes. They were reading, they were consuming. But even with that information, you'll see 915 landed on the sales page, but only 191 were moved enough from the sales page to go to the order page. So again, these are just behind the scenes numbers that using, analytics and measurement, you can pull so that they're not so much behind the scenes, but actually in front of you and able to help you with the decisions that you're going to make in your business. All right. And so now, why is so much of this important? For many of you, you might have Google Analytics on your website. You'll have the universal analytics, which is that number UA dash followed by some numbers. That is sunsetting. Google is no longer going to send data to it effective July 1st, 2023. So that's next year. Okay. Is it like penny the sky is falling? Oh my goodness, cause for alarm? Not exactly, but sort of. Okay. Because if, like, let's be honest, we have the European Union with, the general data protection. We have things happening here in the US with California and I believe now Oregon in terms of privacy. We all like cookies, like in chocolate chip, maybe white chocolate chip and macadamia nut or whatever your preference is. But those cookies were invasive. iOS 14 updates, so many things are leading and have led Google to stop utilizing that UA or universal analytics and switch over to what's called Google Analytics 4. So beginning July 1st, 2023, Google is no longer going to send your data from your website to Universal Analytics. And it's going to sunset. And that's important because if you have Universal Analytics on your site right now, again, that's like UA number. Okay, I think and highly strongly recommend that you also install Google Analytics 4. Okay, you can actually run the two of these on your site at the same time. They're not going to cause problems because they're reporting to different areas. Okay, so if it's not installed, I would highly recommend you having it installed and configured on your site as soon as possible. That way, before next July 1st rolls around, you'll have at least a year's worth of data in order to have at your disposal for Google Analytics 4. Is Google Analytics 4 as comprehensive as Google Analytics 4? Not really. Okay, there's changes in terminology. A lot of reports that you have set up here are not going to work just the way that things are set up differently. This was really designed for a desktop environment, whereas Google Analytics 4 is a much more mobile-friendly environment, understanding that as customers, we might look at something on our desktops and then we go to our phones and then we're on our tablets to make that final purchase. Okay, so without having cookies to keep track of you through all of those iterations of where you were, okay, Google Analytics 4 is set up differently to protect that privacy. So there are differences between Google Analytics 3 and Google Analytics 4, but what's important is that you have them both installed and you're getting data to your website, from your website in order to help inform your decisions. Another component to that is Google Tag Manager, okay, which works in conjunction with both of these and really is like a container system. To tag different things that take place on your website. For example, scroll depth. Which is something that my client kind of was like, what? But she loves to put a video on certain things, especially different funnel pages. And it's a common practice. Many people do it. And you might find that when you start to measure scroll depth, if your video is like halfway down your page, but people scroll only a third of the way down your page, they're never going to see the video. But you don't know that because you don't know how far down the page that they're scrolling. So it's important to, and some people might be like, seriously, you can really track that. You can totally track that. You can track how many people click certain buttons on your site. So maybe you have a book a call button, okay? And so you might know a few slides back, let's just take the funnel example of how many people landed on the sales page. So say you had 915 people land on your services page on your website. Out of that 915, 5 actually clicked on the book a call, so that you're getting a lot of traffic there. Well, what's happening though that people aren't being led to book a call? Okay, so you can tag a lot of different things. I'll be very honest with you. Okay, but again, it's just super important to realize that this one is going away. Okay, and if you're currently collecting data from it, great, terrific, keep it up. Just know as of July 1st, Google has clearly stated they will no longer send you data. Okay, July 1st next year. If you don't have this one installed, you should, because you can have both of them installed at the same time in order for you to start collecting the data that you need to move forward. All right. And I love this quote from Tariq Ryman. Hope I said his name correct. And he's the author of Secret to Capitalizing on Analytics. And he really tells you that, like, analytics is 2/3 of your marketing. It's really that simple. And I think we often get it confused and we're like, analytics is maybe 1/3 of our marketing. But if you're trying to figure out, where do your marketing dollars go? Are you getting return of investment of your marketing dollars? Then really the analytics piece is key for that. And so starting to shift that mindset of where analytics falls into your everyday business and what takes place in there is super important as you continue to move forward. So, speaking of moving forward, don't ignore your data, people. There's a lot of helpful information that helps you with your decision making. If you don't have Google Analytics set up, let's get that done. Okay. And dashboards are such a great way to provide you as a CEO with a quick snapshot of what's taking place in your business. And that is all designed to help you with your decision making. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and definitely let me know what questions this brings up for you, what kind of things you're like, okay, that made some sense, but I'm not 100% sure about that, or whatever. Send me a message, type a comment below. I'll make sure to check on all the platforms that I am streaming this to in order to answer and respond to those, or definitely send me a DM. And I hope that this was helpful. Again, I'm going to come live every Wednesday at 12 noon in order to, during this month of June, to really just dive more into this and what else you can see and what else you can know by utilizing analytics more in your business. And for some of you, you're thinking, Kiva, I'm a small business. We all are. According to the SBA, you're making less than, I believe it's 25 million, you're a small business. So with that being the case, no matter how small your business is, it's important that you are aware of your numbers. And this is something I've always shared with my clients, whether it's your revenue numbers, whether it's your analytics in terms of what's happening in your business. You need to be aware. Okay. And I always equate it to, and this helps with my age. Tony Braxton once was on Oprah Winfrey, and she was like, oh, she went bankrupt. And Oprah's like, you always sign your checks. Like, no matter how much money you're making, you need to be the one signing your checks. And no matter how big or small you feel your business is, you need to know your numbers as the CEO. That is not something you just give off to someone else and like, oh, I hope the accountant or the bookkeeper keeps everything straight. You need to know what's happening in your business. If you're spending out money for marketing, what's that money coming back to you as? Is there a return on that investment? If there isn't, then you need to make some decisions on how to best move forward. So once again, I will see you again next Wednesday. That would be June 8th, in order to dive even deeper into this. And if you have any questions, please make sure to include them in the comments below. Thanks.